Well, thanks for clicking on to the UK storm update for today, the Sunday, the 27th of October. We've now reached, that is around 10 past 7 on the Sunday evening here, and the storm is now starting to gather strength. Steam. It's already starting to spread a lot of heavy rain into the southern half of England. Up here across Scotland, we're getting hit by the area of low pressure this north of us. In fact, that's nothing to sniff at really, because pressure is down into the 970s and millibars. So, it's not stormy, but it's wet and it's blustery, and certainly pretty miserable up here across Scotland. But certainly the focus is further south, and the area of low pressure that is very concerning over the course of the next 12 to 24 hours, as it continues to gain strength as it approaches the southern half of the UK. You can see here of the Weather Online website, the rain is now starting to really start gathering strength. A shield of heavy rain marking the leading edge of the low, and of course up here across Scotland you've got some pretty heavy intense showers that are whipping in on a west-northwest wind. That area of low pressure is up across the basically the Norwegian Sea. But certainly a lot of attention is getting tied between this storm and the 1987 storm. And in fact, I did live in central London. I was aged 4. I was young, but certainly I do put that system down to my interest in the weather today. And it was one storm that will not be rivaled in this case, I don't think. I just don't think it's going to be as strong. Yes, it is going to pack a punch. It's going to bring damage, widespread disruption anywhere from Cornwall up to perhaps Lincolnshire, and even parts of South Yorkshire. Don't be surprised if you see some damage done through the course of tonight and into tomorrow. But certainly it's not going to match 1987, that's for sure. The pressure as it was crossing the south of England, a very similar track, may I add, to the system tonight, but certainly the pressure will not be matched. Down to 953 at its peak. It was roughly 960 in millibars as it crossed England, producing winds in excess of 100 miles an hour across Greater London. Now, the fact is, the track made landfall around Cornwall, crossed northeastwards across the South Midlands. The core of the strongest winds was in fact in that southeast corner of England, the most populated part of the British Isles. That's why some £2 billion worth of damage was caused. That's incredible considering it was back in 1987. A storm of that magnitude today would certainly have caused a lot more economic losses with that system. Certainly it produced a wind gust in excess of 122 mile per hour in Norfolk, and it even produced a 137 mile per hour wind gust on the Brittany coast of France. We're not going to see those kind of winds over the course of tonight and tomorrow, but it certainly will be damaging and destructive. This is the pressure chart on the night of the 16th of October 1987. And you can see here that 960 millibar low crossing the southeast of England, really in a general direction like this right here. And of course, the core of those strongest winds, the worst of the weather, was in this area right here. So the Brittany, the northwest coast of France, and the southeastern half of England. This is the satellite presentation from earlier this afternoon. A couple of things worth very, very much noting is the fact that yes, we've got this swirl of cloud here, and indicative of that very strong storm yesterday that was positioned here. It has been gradually weakening as it pushed to the north of the UK, but what it has been doing, however, is it's been pulling very cold air off Greenland. So that system right here is pulling cold air out of Greenland, and of course you've got the system that's developing right here at the moment. Look at this massive cloud here associated with this deepening area of low pressure. And quite often when you've got some dramatic, unusually strong ingredients all coming together, you've got just a ball of cloud, and we're seeing that at the moment here. So the cold air, this area of low pressure in the north of the UK, is doing its work. It's pulling in colder air. While this feature that's developing right now, look at the clouds, the way they're flowing in from the subtropics here. We've got two significant streams of cloud here. That's showing, folks, that this system is trying to pull heat out of the subtropics. while this area of low pressure is pulling cold air down from Greenland. You've got, of course, high pressure positioned over Europe, so therefore you're actually creating somewhat of a dam. We've got a trough that's in place to the southwest of the UK. So all this energy, remember I was talking yesterday in the video about a 210 mile per hour jet that's been ripping across the North Atlantic here. And of course all this energy drops into the trough and it's got nowhere to go. So it then bundles, it starts to wind up. And of course that is exactly what's happening now when you've got that cold coming down from the northwest, warm from the southwest, and you've got one hell of a storm coming, folks, and very concerning over the course of tonight. As for the models, this is the ECMWF. You can see here through the later stages of tonight, it's got a 984 millibar low that's pushing towards the mouth of the Bristol Channel. So it looks as if the low itself going to take a similar track, but not quite the same as the storm of 87. It's going to be tracking generally up the Bristol Channel, maybe making a landfall very close to Cardiff, and then it's going to basically take a due northeast track up towards southern parts of Norway, the northern half of the Jutland Peninsula of Denmark. Folks here are going to see storm force conditions just as bad as what we'll see here in the UK. But you can see here a track similar to the 87 storm, but the 87 storm was further south, making a landfall closer towards the south coast around the Cornwall area. And it generally took the same track, but the strongest of the weather was to the southeast of that track. And you notice here it was right over the southeast of England. So that further north track keeps the strongest winds, I believe, away from the greater London area. But it is going to be stormy. It is going to produce damaging winds. And it is going to be a very rough night, that's for sure. But if you notice here, let's skip back. This is for 24 hours. By the time we skip out the 30 hours, so this is really only 6 hours later. And you can see the centre is starting to get strung out somewhat. But look at the pressure. It was generally around the 984 millibar range here. And by the time we skip 6 hours out, it has pressure down to 976 millibars over the South Midlands of England. So certainly it's going to be a continued deepening system as it pushes onshore over the course of tonight. By the time we get out to tomorrow afternoon, the area of low pressure continues deepening. It's not weakening, it's deepening. So therefore, we're going to see very, very stormy conditions right through the Channel, through the North Sea. Could see wave heights in excess of 40, maybe even 50 feet over the course of tonight and tomorrow. Going to cause havoc with shipping. I wouldn't be surprised if the port of Dover shuts down. London, we've got 3 major airports, of course, not including the airports that's right across the south of England. A lot of disruption here. Trains, South West Rail, East Anglian Rail, all shutting down, I believe, or at least saying to passengers that it's going to be significant major disruption. Expect delays, expect your train not to be running in the morning. There's going to be a lot of trees down in lines. Roads are going to be blocked as well. This is going to be a system that's going to be the worst in several years. But it's going to be more comparable, I think, to a few systems that we've seen generally around the 2007 to 2011 period, as opposed, I can't think off the top of my head exactly what storms, but certainly this is going to pack a significant punch, but it's not like I repeat this, it's not going to be 1987 once again. But certainly this area of low pressure, like I say, going to continue to deepen as it pushes towards southern Scandinavia. Very bad weather here as well. Now let's get down to some of the nuts and bolts of this. You can see here that the area of low pressure is going to generally track like this. You've got a jet stream, very, very intense upper level winds just on the south side of that centre, folks. And I believe that where you are located underneath that red zone, that is going to be the worrying part, because when you've got a deepening area of low pressure, a strong upper level support, you've got all the ingredients converging into the center, you have the tendency, or the atmosphere has this tendency to drop very, very powerful upper level winds down to the surface. So it transfers the energy in the mid and upper levels down to the surface. And that is where we've seen back in 87, we've seen a steam jet that produced locally stronger winds than the general wind field. So you could be talking about a general wind field 60, 70 mile per hour, but within that you could have some energy that's getting transferred down to the surface, could produce 90 mile an hour, even 100 mile an hour wind gusts that produce more damage than what's been anticipated. And that is my concern here, that as you've got this jet ripping right over parts of southwestern and southern England, you could be seeing locally stronger gusts, more damaging gusts of wind with this support. As for 5,000 foot level temperatures, all this orange, folks, represents that at 5,000 feet you've got winds in excess of 75 knots. That's 86 mile per hour, and it could be higher than that. So a very, very large area of very intense winds just at 5,000 feet. Doesn't take much with a strengthening system to then transfer that energy down towards the surface. As for surface temperatures, are 10 meter wind gusts. You can see here generally 70 to 75 knot winds blowing through the channel, and some of those will be bumping up against the south coast of England, the northwest of France as well, and even towards the coast of Belgium and the Netherlands as well. So certainly a lot of strong winds to come over the next 24 hours. You can see in terms of rainfall, we've got a lot of rain as well, folks, coming over the next 3 days. You can see here generally 1 to 3 inches across the Northwest Highlands. You've also got a focus of rain across Cumbria, down into Lancashire, the Lake District region, northwest and southern parts of Wales, the southwest. This is going to be, of course, with the wind coming in from the west, northwest, and the north, and of course the general southwesterly flow is going to be driving a lot of moisture into the western and southwestern half of the UK. Speaking of 7 days out now, and look at the amount of rainfall, locally 5 to 6 inches of rain, very possible across the same areas, the Northwest Highlands, Cumbria, much of Wales, and the southwest of England. We're going to see some very, very heavy rain over the course of the next several days. So flooding is going to become a problem. The ground is also saturated. We also need to watch out that the combination of strong winds, and of course you've got the wet ground, that also has a tendency to bring those trees down easier with that wind, as opposed to dry ground and bare trees. It's easier for trees to come down with the wind when you've got wet ground and you've got fully leaved trees. As for looking further out, look at this chart here, folks, by the time we skip out the next Sunday. So this is 7 days out, a week from today, and the model is indicating a 960 millibar low very close. This is the UK. I know it's very hard to see. This is Ireland here. Very deep area of low pressure. So yes, more stormy weather further north. So Scotland, Northern Ireland, the north of England, looks as if it's going to bear the brunt if this model is correct. The pattern is very supportive of continued storminess, and the reason why is we're currently in a warm AMO. You'll have noticed that the weather has become a lot wetter in recent years, and it's a cycle that lasts generally 25 to 30 years, and it's been warm. It was part of the reason what fueled the 87 storm. Recent storms, a lot wetter conditions in the autumn time, and a lot of that is because of the warm water surrounding the UK. And look at this here. We've got a lot of very warm water extending all the way from nearly Canada to the western half of Europe. So a lot of fuel here for heavier rain, deeper lows, stormier conditions. I've spoken long enough. Hope you have a good and a safe night. Please check out markvoganweather.com for more details, and also for, if you're interested, I've got my winter forecast coming out at the end of this upcoming week, hopefully. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.